Diplomats are expressing optimism as talks resume on saving the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. The European Union chair says he felt extremely positive, but admitted difficult issues have yet to be tackled. Iran says it is serious about reaching a fair deal after the U.S. abandoned the accord 3 years ago, but Tehran insists sanctions must first be dropped. The U.S. has said it's open to dropping some sanctions, but has questioned Iran's commitment. In an exclusive interview with CMG, Iran's top nuclear negotiator talked about the meeting and how long talks may last.
The countries around the negotiating table today have shown serious determination to resolve the current issue, namely removing illegal U.S. sanctions. It depends on the determination and readiness of the other parties to lift sanctions. The negotiating delegation includes experts in the field of lifting sanctions, and we are ready to discuss the details. I also want to stress we have seen the efforts of the Chinese side during today's negotiations. We are especially grateful to the Chinese delegates for solemnly defending Iran's legitimate rights and interests. We believe good cooperation with our Chinese friends will certainly facilitate the progress of the negotiations.
So as these negotiations get underway, let's get over live to reporter Ehsan Kevani standing by for us in Tehran. So what are some of the big sticking points between the United States and Iran?
Thanks, Jonathan. Iran's new negotiators say there are certain issues that matter to Tehran. These issues are verification of sanctions removal, type of sanctions that are going to be lifted, and finally, a guarantee from Washington not to withdraw from the JCPOA again. Yesterday, Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian had a phone conversation with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and reiterated Iran's positions. He said, despite misbehavior and inaction of the US and the European Troika, Tehran has entered the negotiations with goodwill and seeks a good agreement based on which the other parties get back to compliance, and in return, Iran reverses its remedial measures. He emphasized that any agreement must be effectually verifiable. The U.S. had earlier demanded that negotiations had to resume from the point it stopped in June. However, Iran's foreign minister says Tehran would not disregard the previous 6 rounds of negotiations and talks, but the right is reserved for President Raisi's administration to have its own considerations. He expressed that Iran will not accept any request beyond the scope of the 2015 nuclear deal. According to the European Union's Enrique Mora, a sanctions working group that was formed during a previous round of talks in April would restart its activities today. And the nuclear working group would be reactivated on Wednesday. According to Deputy Foreign Minister Ali Bagheri, who heads Iran's delegation to Vienna, all the remaining parties agreed that, first of all, sanctions must be discussed. At the end of Monday meetings, Russian permanent representative to the Vienna-based international organizations, Mikhail Ulyanov, had a meeting with his Chinese counterpart, Wang Khan, and the U.S. Special Envoy for Iran, Robert Malley. Ulyanov said the Monday discussions and his separate conversations with Malley showed that all, without exception, seek to achieve a positive result. But Tehran believes that seeking to achieve a positive result by Washington requires their goodwill as well as their flexibility of Biden administration to compensate Trump administration's mistakes.
Indeed, a lot of dividing points here. Ehsan Kevani live for us in Iran. Thank you. Well, China's envoy Wang Zun says Beijing will continue to support Iran.
We support the legitimate interests of Iran as far as sanction lifting is concerned. So all sanctions imposed by the United States inconsistent of JCPOA, may it is of primary nature or secondary nature, must all be addressed and removed.
And earlier we spoke to Christopher Blute from the University of Bradford in the UK about the roles of China and Russia in these talks.
Russia and China are extremely anxious, first of all, that Iran should never build a nuclear weapon. And secondly, that Iran remains in the non-proliferation treaty, because if Iran decides to abandon the non-proliferation treaty, then Russia cannot do any nuclear business with Iran anymore. And Iran is in charge, Russia is in charge of the uranium supply for the Bushehr civil nuclear reactor. So that would hit Russia and it would hit Iran hard too. And China is buying oil from Iran, and so the sanctions are problematic for China's relationship. So China and Russia will try to push Iran on the basis of being trusted partners of Iran, that they should modify some of their conditions, perhaps. They certainly have to modify some conditions, because as they stand now, this won't make any progress.
So let's continue this conversation with Wang Jin. He's a Middle East expert at Northwest University in China. It's good to have you with us back on the show. So, we've seen nuclear talks for a while now with no real breakthroughs. Are you expecting any breakthroughs from this round?
Hi, Jonathan. I think the major breakthrough that we are witnessing right now is the resumption of the meeting in Vienna itself. Because we cannot forget that this is the first, although it's the 7th round of the Vienna dialogue of the nuclear issue, but we cannot forget that it is the very first dialogue that is organized after Iran's new government led by Raisi. And it means that Iran now has its new delegation, has its new nuclear dialogue team in Europe, and this is the very first indirect meeting, although it's the very indirect way between Iran and the United States. So there will be kind of the discussion, even some kind of very strong words that coming from Iran and the United States against each other. But we have to know that given the background that Iran, the United States, they expressed their attitudes against each other, before the meeting, and also given the pressures of both sides, both Iran and United States, at home and abroad. So the meeting itself right now is a very, very successful signal. It shows that both United States and Iran hope to solve this problem by the negotiation table, and hope to solve the problem through the very political and diplomatic manner rather than the other manner. So I think the resumption of the meeting itself is very important. It should be perceived as a breakthrough. If we have the patience, the major breakthrough, the real breakthrough for the Iran nuclear deal will come someday later.
I was hoping he'd come back. Looks like we lost Professor Wang Jin from Northwest University in China talking about the Iran nuclear negotiations. Our thanks to him. Well, 22 people have been killed in the Democratic Republic of Congo after rebels attacked a camp for displaced civilians. The gold-rich region has seen a surge in violence since May. CGTN's Chris Ochamringa has more now from Kinshasa.
The Congolese army says militiamen launched a deadly attack on a camp for displaced people in Jugu territory. 22 people were killed. Gunmen attacked the same camp last week and killed 29 people. No group has claimed responsibility for the latest attack, but the DRC government has accused fighters of the Cooperative of the Development of Congo militia, CODECO, of carrying out the attack. The militia is composed of fighters from the Lendu ethnic group that has had a long history of rivalry with the community